Ready to dive into a classic. We're tackling Pilgrim's Progress this time around.
A classic, and maybe, I don't know, a little bit intimidating for some folks.
Yeah, maybe. It's one of those books people feel like they should read.
Right, like it's homework.
Exactly. But we're here to show you it's anything but homework. We're going beyond the surface to see why this centuries-old story is still relevant today.
We're talking Bunyan's life, the historical context, the whole shebang.
The whole shebang. So to really get it, we have to start with the man himself, John Bunyan.
And I think that's key with Pilgrim's Progress. You can't separate the book from the author. His life is woven right into the story.
Totally. So for anyone who doesn't know, Bunyan was, well, he wasn't some posh theologian writing from an ivory tower.
Not at all. He was a working class guy.
Yeah, a tinker by trade.
Which, for our listeners who might not know, tinkers back then were like,
Like the traveling repairman.
right. Fixing pots and pans, mending tools, that kind of thing.
And this was during a time of huge upheaval in England, right? 17th century religious and political turmoil.
Absolutely. You really had to have some guts to speak out about your beliefs back then. And Bunyan, he was risking it all.
And he did end up imprisoned for his beliefs.
He did. And it's while he's in prison that he writes Pilgrim's Progress. Imagine that, turning a prison cell into a literary powerhouse.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. It wasn't some passion project he was tinkering with on the side, no pun intended. This was born out of real struggle.
Absolutely. And you feel that struggle, that rawness in every page of Pilgrim's Progress. It's what gives the story its power.
So we've got Bunyan, our tinker-turned-preacher, writing this incredible allegory from prison. But okay, let's get into Pilgrim's Progress itself.
That's a journey, that's for sure.
Literally, Pilgrim's Progress, it's about a pilgrimage.
Right. But it's so much more than just, a physical trip. That's where the allegory comes in.
Okay, so for anyone who needs a refresher, how would you describe the basic premise of the book?
So we follow this guy, Christian, as he travels from the city of destruction.
Which, spoiler alert, not the nicest place to be.
Definitely not. And he's heading towards, you guessed it, the celestial city.
Sounds pretty straightforward so far. But you're saying there's a deeper layer here.
Oh, absolutely. See, Bunyan takes this literal journey and packs it with metaphors for the struggles we all face in life. Temptation, doubt, fear, you name it.
So it's like those classic heroes' journeys you see in myths and stories across cultures.
Exactly. Except in Pilgrim's Progress, the hero isn't battling dragons or evil wizards. He's battling his own inner demons.
Which, let's be honest, can be way scarier than any monster.
Tell me about it. But that's what makes it so relatable, right? I mean, who hasn't felt lost and hopeless in their own slough of despond at some point?
Oh man, that's such a good example. Bunyan's descriptions there are so vivid.
Aren't they? You can just feel Christians sinking into that muck and mire. And then there's Vanity Fair.
Oh my gosh, Vanity Fair. It's like he predicted modern society with that one.
Right. All those distractions, temptations, people trying to sell you stuff you don't need.
It's like he walked right into 21st century consumerism and came back to write about it.
And yet, for all the challenges Christian faces, there's this constant sense of hope driving him forward.
That pull towards something better. Right. That's what keeps him going.
Exactly. That yearning for the celestial city. It's that same yearning that I think resonates with readers even today. It reminds us that no matter how tough things get, there's always something worth striving for.
It's that hope, that drive. It's really something. No wonder Pilgrim's Progress hit people back then so hard,
It wasn't just a hit. It was like a phenomenon. People were obsessed.
Yeah, and we're talking way before things went viral like they do now.
Oh, absolutely. This was 17th century word of mouth, spreading like wildfire. It was translated into, get this, over 200 languages and dialects.
Over 200. Seriously. That's more than most books ever dream of today.
It's mind-boggling. And for many families back then, Pilgrim's Progress was one of their only books, besides, of course, the Bible.
Wow, okay, now that puts things in perspective. To have those two books as your main source of, like, intellectual and spiritual guidance.
Right. It's a heavy thought, isn't it? How those stories would have shaped their entire worldview.
Absolutely. It wasn't just a story. It was a guidebook, a conversation starter, everything.
And its influence, it went way beyond just individual readers, too. You had art, music, everyday conversations even, all drawing on Pilgrim's Progress.
It's like Bunyan invented his own language, and everyone was speaking it.
Exactly. And here's the thing, its impact on literature.
Yeah.
Massive. You can see echoes of Pilgrim's Progress in works by authors you'd never think of.
Really? Like who?
Oh, Dickens, Dostoevsky even. And of course, it laid the groundwork for the whole genre of modern fantasy epics we have now.
Wait, are you serious? You're saying Pilgrim's Progress influenced fantasy?
Absolutely. Think about it, those epic journeys, the battles against good and evil, characters wrestling with temptation, it's all there, right back to Bunyan.
Wow, when you put it like that, I can totally see it, like Narnia or even Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. It's amazing this seemingly simple story, born out of hardship and, well, let's be honest, oppression, ended up shaping how we tell stories, how we think about faith, even how we understand what it means to be human.
It's mind-blowing when you really think about it. You've got this tinker-turned-preacher writing from prison, and centuries later, his words are still echoing.
It just goes to show, doesn't it? Powerful stories, they can come from anywhere.
They really can. So as we finish up our own little journey into Pilgrim's Progress, it leaves you thinking, where are you on your journey? What challenges are you facing? What's your celestial city? It's a question worth pondering. And hey, if you haven't picked up Pilgrim's Progress in a while, maybe it's time for another look. You never know what you might discover. Thanks for diving deep with us.